Hello there and welcome to Weekend Moblin. This is Aaron and today joining me is...
Hi guys, it's Amy. If you didn't watch it, but just in case you did, I'm the one from the Splatoon video, Aaron's wife. Happy to be back.
Yep, and today we are here to introduce the top 13 terror-inducing Pokemon. Now, this list does consist of pretty much all scary types of Pokemon. If you have a phobia of something, or if it's a ghost, I guess, or anything like that, just anything that makes a Pokemon scary in some way.
Just downright freaky. You're gonna love all 13.
Pokemon are mostly known for being cute, but there is also a dark side to Pokemon, and today Weekend Moblin would like to take a look at the 13 different Pokemon in no real order that are truly some of the most terrifying things that you could ever come across, if they actually existed in the world we know. Going off some of these Pokedex entries, you'll see just what I mean, I assure you. From ghost to just plain terror-inducing, this is the top 13 heart-bursting Pokemon of them all. We won't be including any legendary Pokemon. Sorry, Darkrai and Giratina. And that takes us on to number 1 with Beedrill. The Pokedex entry is as follows.
Beedrill is extremely territorial. No one should ever approach its nest. It's for their own safety. If angered, they will attack in a ferocious swarm.
Okay, so this probably didn't start the way you expected, but hear me out on this. I know for a fact if there's anyone like me out there, you have an extreme fear of anything flying that involves it having stingers, and you would agree that this thing is just as heart attack inducing as any ghost you could possibly see. It's a Japanese giant hornet, but even more freaking giant. It's extremely territorial, as mentioned in the Pokedex, so it doesn't have to have a good reason to grab you up and take you back to its nest and slowly feast on your carcass. I used to have nightmares of dolls with red wasps coming out of their eyes. Speaking of dolls, that takes us on to number 2, Bayonet. Now here's the thing, this Pokemon is my second favorite Pokemon to be honest, so putting it on this list was a no-brainer for me personally, but to be honest as well, dolls creep me right the fuck out. Their soulless stares have always gotten to me. It feels like they're just watching you. I actually remember the night I stopped wanting to look at them entirely. I was talking with Steve. I was really young at the time, and I had my Pinocchio doll in the bed with me. I'd had this thing for as long as I could remember, but suddenly I got the worst feeling when looking at it and quickly threw it under the bed, never to touch it again for as long as I lived. Keep in mind, I had this thing with me every single day. Why would I suddenly feel the urge to do such a thing to my friend I'd had so many years? Well, if it was up to the Pokemon Bayonet, I'd be followed to the end of time till it caused my ultimate fate.
Bayonet, a doll that became a Pokemon over its grudge from being junked. It sinks the child that disowned it.
Yep, it's pretty terrifying for a reason. With that, let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
Gengar.
Now at first, I wasn't gonna put him on here, but to be honest, Honor was always way more terrifying to me, where I'd seen the manga as a kid, and he was all giant, and they just drew him in such a way that it just made you want to shit yourself. But then, I did some digging. Turns out, Gengar isn't just lurking in the shadows to drain your heat, he might just kill you just to make you a ghost, like him.
Yeah, turns out they used to be human, and they longed for the days when they were still alive and had friends to hang out with. Sounds kind of lonely. Gengar apparently wishes for a traveling companion. Since it was once human itself, it tries to create one by taking the lives of other humans. So don't go out by yourself.
This is Amy's favorite Pokemon, of course, so another obvious pick for the list. Number 4, Shedinja. A most peculiar Pokemon that somehow appears in a Pokeball when a Nincada evolves. Shedinja's hard body doesn't move, not even a twitch. In fact, its body appears to be merely a hollow shell. It is believed that this Pokemon will steal the spirit of anyone peering into its hollow body from its back.
This one explains itself. Why would anyone want to own one of these? If you mistakenly look at its back, you'll lose your soul. I don't know about you guys, but an empty husk for a Pokemon that eats your soul for simply looking at its back is like some kind of bug mixed with the Tooth Fairy shit. I don't think I like that. On to number 5, Glalie. Okay, if it wasn't for the fact that you already looked like something from Castlevania, it'll freeze you and slowly eat you. It's kind of sadistic.
Gaily has the ability to freely control ice. For example, it can instantly freeze its prey solid. After immobilizing its prey in ice, this Pokemon enjoys eating it in a leisurely fashion. This thing is no joke. You run into a wild one of these hanging out in a cave, you best be ready, cause your death will be slow and painful. Kinda reminds me of those little heads that came with some of the Vac-Man toys when I was a kid. Whatever though, it's still pretty scary.
Number 6, Frostlass. Okay, this one takes Gaily and takes it up a notch.
When it finds humans or Pokemon it likes, it freezes them and takes them back to its chilly den, where they become decorations. Legends in snowy regions say that a woman who was lost in an icy mountain was reborn as Frostlass.
So you're telling me this Pokemon is the ghost maiden that collects dead bodies? Yeah, definitely unsettling. I'd hate to stumble on that then. Corpses all over the place and frozen in their last moments, capturing their last hopeless expressions. This is one psychotic Pokemon, that's for sure. So be careful when you sleep if you own one of these, which I know I won't.
Number 7, Gyarados.
Known for totally destroying cities in ancient times. It fires hyper beams in all directions, burning the surrounding area to ash. There are some regions where it's called the deity of destruction. The energy from the evolution stimulated its brain cells strongly, causing it to become extremely ferocious.
Imagine it, you're on a ship in the middle of the ocean. It's raining, and it's starting to pour down harder and harder, and lightning is striking. You see something in the distance. Within each flash of lightning, there's more and more giant shadows appearing everywhere. Twisters are forming, and they reveal themselves as a herd of Gyarados on the attack. You've entered their turf, and they will see to it that you never make that mistake again, or any for that matter. As someone that's already terrified of the ocean, this idea simply makes me turn pale. Number 8, Phantump.
According to old legends, these Pokemon are stumps that are possessed by the spirits of children who died while lost in the woods. They imitate the sounds of the voices of children, and it causes people to hopelessly get lost in the forest. It's trying to make friends with them. But on the lighter side of them, if you pluck the leaves off their heads, you can brew them and boil them down into a liquid to cure any illness.
Okay, so if the fact that they was children wasn't creepy enough for you, the fact that they will use it to lure you into the forest, to be lost forever, probably being killed by its evolved form, that guy's pretty scary in his own right. But let's be honest here, we all know ghost children are some of the most downright scariest things you'll ever experience. They look like the forest spirits from Princess Mononoke, but they have a much darker role at play. I'm kinda thinking these guys are more cool than scary. But hey, I'm a weird one.
Number 9, Galvantula. They employ an electrically charged web to trap their prey. While immobilizing by shocking, they leisurely consume it.
Arachnophobia. If you're like a cousin of mine, you know all too well what that word means, and you're already uncomfortable. Personally, I've not been scared of spiders, but I happen to know tons of people, heck, most of you probably are. Movie by the same name left a permanent mark on a lot of your guys' psyche, and I guess it was for a good reason. Hell, I won't lie, it made me check the toilet seat for a good minute when I first saw it. Just imagine an even bigger version of that spider, but with an electric web. Yeah, likes to eat you slowly in the traditional creepy Pokemon fashion. 'Cause you know, why the f not? Number 10, Chandelure. It absorbs a spirit, which it then burns. By waving the flames on its arms, it puts its foes into a hypnotic trance. Being consumed in Chandelure's flames burns up the spirit, leaving the body behind. The spirits burned up in its ominous flame lose their way and wander this world forever.
Much like its forms before, it'll burn your soul to use for its flames. If it isn't bad enough to have your soul taken without your consent, but to be burned, your soul burned. I can't imagine that it would feel the best. All the more reason for this Pokemon to own its spot right here on this list.
Number 11, Drifloon. Stories go that it grabs the hands of small children and drags them away into the afterlife. It dislikes heavy children. If for some reason its body burst, its soul spills out with a screaming sound. Wandering souls gather together to form this Pokemon. When trying to make friends with children, Drifloon grabs them by the hand.
Yeah, so don't mistake this friendly looking balloon to be something Tingle would use. It'll straight up take you into the afterlife and not blink an eye. If it could blink. Honestly, I can't tell. But knowing what these kind of things are capable of, I'm not willing to risk getting anywhere near something like this. And I recommend you hide your children if you know that any are in the area, unless you like them taking trips to the underworld opposed to Disneyland. Speaking of being dragged to hell, let's look at Houndoom.
If you are burned by the flames it shoots from its mouth, the pain will never go away. Upon hearing its eerie howls, other Pokemon get the shivers and head straight back into their nest. Long ago, people imagined its eerie howls to be the call of the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, the thing about hellhounds, I think you can clearly see where I'm coming from now. Not only is it rumored to be the calls of the Reaper, but it'll burn you forever. Endless burning pain for life. It's an early glimpse of hell, and I assure you that it's nothing you want to be a part of. Number 13, Hypno.
This one for me was the most obvious pick. Let's take a look at its Pokedex entry just to see what I mean.
Always holding a pendulum that it rocks at a steady rhythm, causing drowsiness to anyone nearby. There was once an incident in which it took a child that it had hypnotized. Seeing its swinging pendulum can cause sleep within 3 seconds, even if somebody had just woke up. Avoid eye contact if you ever cross one, because they will put you to sleep and they'll actually have a taste of your dreams. And if you just so happen to be having a good one, it's gonna carry you off. But in Alola, Komoa is its main target, and it rarely harms human.
When it comes to scary, this thing is the cream of the crop, guys. This guy is the Slender Man of Pokemon. He will take you in your sleep, and it's not even if you're having a nightmare. You could be having a great dream about the zombie apocalypse, and this guy just comes right along, sweeping you up, taking you off into the unknown. That's the thing that makes him way more terrifying than a Drifloon. You don't have to be near this guy. Long as one's hanging around your woods, lurking at night, you could fall victim to his trance and forever be lost. Unless you're an Alola. Then Komoa, sorry little guy, but I'm gonna be keeping a few of you outside of my house just to be safe. Add in that creepy glare and his big troll-like nose, and you've got, in my opinion, the creepiest, most terrifying thing that I've seen in all of Pokemon so far. Will Sword and Shield have anything that can top this list? One can only hope so. If you've got any Pokemon you think should have made this list, feel free to share them in the comments below. We would love to get the conversation going. Halloween is in the air, and if you're a Pokemon fan, I'm sure you've had ones on your mind lately that are just as unsettling as some of the ones we've mentioned here. So, let's talk about it. This has been Weekend Moblin.
Stay tuned for next time.